Right. First off, welcome everybody. Y'all part of the very first Cafe Detente. Vay-Yay. So the word Vay-Yay, my grandmother, Seal Barra Wilson, would sit out in these old school chairs right here in Baldwin. Jessica's shaking her head. She remembers that. And where's Papa? Well, he's Vay-Yaying all around. You know, Vay-Yay means just Cajun equivalent to shooting the breeze. And it was a time back then when that's what everybody did. And when we was raised in Centerville and Franklin and all along this Highway 90. And, you know, when we was building this, we just wondered, where did those days go? Where people just Vay-Yayed and talked and got to know each other, asking smart questions, and it just seemed like the world unraveled. And so I turned the TV off. We said no more news. This was all woods right here. And we just started taking the trees out and burning them. And the wheels kept going. And I said, you know what? The best way to start a conversation is with a cup of coffee. It's like a peace pipe. Get a great cup of coffee, sit down, and we're gonna Vay-Yay, okay? So the way this Vay-Yay is gonna work is I go out into the community and go to all of the different cultures and subcultures, and I'm just talking to some amazing people who's discovering the cafe. So the first thing people gotta get past, it's not open to the public, it's not a first come, first served thing, it's just a way of life. It's not for everybody, but I'm not looking for 10,000 maniacs. I'm looking for 100 level-headed people who can leave their politics at home, leave their religion at home for a minute, and just come and rejoice and respect and enrich each other. Clap your hands if y'all agree with that. And so that's the fundamental base. And so the way this is going to work is, so I go out and get 6, 8, 10 speakers. I mean, just amazing stories from all over. I had one yesterday. Ray Flores works with him. He has E. Broussard. He's not here today. He couldn't be here today. Started the whole Grand Mary Creole community years ago. Fascinating story. A lot of people here is old enough to remember, you know, 45 years ago when the fall of Saigon happened, and then we had a lot of Vietnamese come join our culture. A lot of Hispanics join our culture. The Laotians has a beautiful community out here. We're talking to those guys. They have fascinating stories. And so we sort of built it on the Walt Whitman, be curious, not judgmental. Just simply be curious. Nobody's trying to convert anybody. We just want to hear everybody's story and just see what it does for us. Okay, so good music, good food, good coffee, and good friends. That's who we're looking for. That's what this is all about. So had a lot of help doing this. Ray, thank you, man. Ray's our first corporate sponsor. Give him a round of applause. And, you know, he didn't even use his company that he's over, the many companies has. He used the Pink Trailer Project. Ask him about it. It's fascinating. He's working with a lot of musicians, and he has a great place not far from here. And it's just working together. All right, what you think? Okay, so today's Vay-Yay, we have a lineup of 3-minute speakers. So if everybody could just give them their attention, and they're just going to come one after another. My son Thomas and Emma's handling it. They can have a little board right there. This kind of shows who they are, what they're talking about. And let's see what they have to say today. And do me a favor, we're going to do this during the fall and then in the spring. And the way the math works, okay, if I get 6 or 8 3-minute speakers from, you know, every little subculture, and somebody has some history or some story or something enriching, and we ask them to bring 10 or 15 people, well then guess what? We got 80 or 100 cool group, right? We're not just calling on it's a brand new cool group of people coming trying to listen to what they have to say. So I'm not going to introduce them. It's not that deal. Check them out. If something y'all like, y'all grab them while they're walking around. That's why they're here for. So let's get started, Thomas. All right, I think you up first. Mr. Art Gunnels. Art's been working with behavior-based profession for a while, so we figured we'd start off with a bit of a professional. Save the comedians for later.
Thank you, Bob. So right about now, you're probably wondering, what is this little bald-headed guy going to have to say to y'all? So, after a couple of decades of facilitating behavioral courses for people, the one thing that I've learned that stands out above it all is people want to be acknowledged. They want people to pay attention to them. They want to be heard. And inevitably, people will give their love, time, and respect to those that fulfill that need. That's the essence of human behavior, and it's been around for thousands of years. So what I tell folks is that here's the thing. We all have behaviors, and you have to understand, where do your belief system comes from? How do we build upon that? Well, simply stated, everything that you've heard and everything that you've experienced in life is your belief system. It's what drives you. It's what helps you to make decisions. And so right or wrong, your behavior is who you are. So the point is that I tell people, if you really want better relationships, you want healthier relationships, think about the world through someone else's lens. We, as individuals, we see the world through our lens. And instead of saying it's right or wrong every time we're talking to someone, think of it like the world through their lens. That's how you build your behavior system or your belief system. So the message today is real simple. If you want healthier relationships, open your hearts, open your minds to the beliefs and the experiences of others. And that's one of the guiding principles behind Cafe Detente. And I appreciate it, Bob, man, y'all putting this together. Man, wonderful to be here with such a diverse group of people. Thank y'all.
Yeah, I was here for a week. Visited her for a week.
Oh, nice.
I started my new job on Tuesday.
I'm gonna have to bring this down a little bit.
Judge.
I'm coming short.
Yes, I'll be like there.
Ashna, I'm Shayna. I am a member of the Chittimacha tribe, and I'm really excited to be here and be a part of this very first Cafe Vay-Yay. When I met Bob and he was telling me about the concept, I just loved it because I feel like it's so very important to make that human connection. And I feel like in today's society, we have gotten so stuck on these screens that we fail to make those human connections in our day-to-day lives. And so I really love what he's doing here, trying to get people together to build a community, to learn about other people's cultures. So many of us had to, in the past, like our ancestors, we were just talking about this the other day, about how so many of our ancestors had to kind of conform to like the American lifestyle, right? Like that was a big thing of like conform to the American dream, conform to the American lifestyle, and they gave up those bits and pieces of their culture that really mattered to them, and they didn't pass it down to their kids and grandkids. They just kind of hid it away from them. They talked, Cajun French, or in my case, Chittimacha, to the other adults who knew it, but they didn't speak it to the kids. And then beyond that, we just sort of lost that cultural connection. So I really like what he's doing here. As I said, I'm a member of the Chitimacha tribe, and my family moved here to Youngsville about 2 years ago. Prior to that, I lived my whole life on and off the reservation in Sharonton. And then when we moved here, I realized that so many people had never even heard of the Chitimacha tribe. And we're just literally like 40 minutes that way. Like, we have a whole community there. We have our doctor's offices, and we have fire and police, and it's a whole entire little city that's just like a tiny little community. And people don't know about it. We have a museum there, and you can go, and it's a free museum. You can go and learn about the Chitimacha history, and it's really fascinating. So anyway, we moved here, and we opened a little coffee shop. We called it Huya. And the reason why we called it Huya is because Huya means thank you. And we wanted our shop to mean something, like we wanted the name to be something that mattered. And we went with Huya because it means thank you, and it has a dual meaning of goodness. And little did we know that when we moved here, that would cause people to ask questions like, oh, well, what does that mean? And so I get to share a piece of my culture with people every day. And so I feel like it's such a beautiful thing. And we use that every day at home with our kids. We talk, we don't fluently speak Chitimacha, but we do use the words. So this gives us the opportunity to share that with the community. And I kind of encourage everybody to find that thing that connects you to your heritage, to your culture, and to bring it back, because so many of us have kind of lost that along the way. And you can do just little small things, like we use Huya, we use a few other like key Chitimacha words, like when I got up here I said Ashna, that means hello all. But those little small things, like my kids get to carry that, so like their kids are gonna know those words. So if you can just take one little piece of your culture and revive it, just think about the impact generations down for that. So that's all I have to say, Go check out other cultures. I think it's a great thing.
Thank you.
All right, we're the same height. How you guys doing? First of all, I want to thank Bob for putting this together, and I want to congratulate you, man, for a good event. Really nice turnout. So, my name is Calvin Ahia, so just a little bit of backstory on me and my history with Bob. So Bob and my daughter, his daughter Emma and my daughter Haley, have been going to schools together since they were pre-K and have been best friends since. They went to separate high schools, and college kind of took them in different paths, but they still stay connected today and are really good at friends, and we've been knowing the Lutz for a long time. So Bob reached out to me recently and asked me, he told me about this event that he was putting on and asked me if I would come and speak, and I said, what do you want me to speak about, right? And he started talking about how, exactly what he was talking, right? Us connecting as people and just having conversations, putting aside religion, all the things that separate us, right? From religion to race to financial status, all those things. And let's just have a cup of coffee. Let's have a conversation, right? So as long as I've been knowing Bob, I realized that he never really knew my story. He asked me, he said, so just, I don't think I told you this. So first of all, I'm from Hawaii, right? So I'm Polynesian. I am born in Waihua, Hawaii, which is Oahu, right? Where Honolulu is located. And born there, and Bob asked me, he said, I never really got this story. Like, why, what are you doing here? How did you end up in Louisiana? Right, so I'm gonna try to keep this under 3 minutes. Okay? So anyway, the way I got here is my mother, first of all, I'm one of 4 kids. I've got an older brother and 2 sisters. My mother remarried when we were really young. I was probably 6 or 7 years at the time, living in Hawaii. And my stepfather was in the military. He was transferred there in Hawaii and stationed. And they ended up getting married. Now, we had no intentions of leaving Hawaii, as far as I know. But one day, my stepdad got orders from him. He was in the military. and he got orders that we were going to be transferred to New Jersey, right? So I'm about 9, 10 years old at the time. My whole life is getting ready to be disrupted, and I'm moving to the mainland. So that was a huge culture shock. One of the things that I was telling Bob was how similar a lot of the similarities I found with the Cajun culture and my culture back home in Hawaii, right? So in Hawaii, similar to here, it's family, it's first, music, food, right? Just like we have our get-togethers at Mama's house on a Sunday or for every occasion, and everyone brings a dish and the family gets together, and somebody picks up a guitar and starts strumming and singing, and you know, it's very festive. I noticed a lot of similarities here with the Cajun culture, same way, right? So back to the story, we moved to New Jersey, lived in a military base in Fort Dix for about a year, and then my stepdad was going to retire from the military. He was a helicopter mechanic at the time, and he actually found a job here at PHI. So this is, we're talking, I've been here since 84, 85, so I'm basically Cajun, guys. I've been here, right? But we moved here, I was in New Jersey, and my mom and my stepdad moved here so he can start his new job. My mom could find some work, and they could find somewhere else, you know, for us to live, set up shop, basically. And we, my brother and my sisters, moved to New York to stay with his dad and his stepmom. Right, so here we are, 4 kids, and I told Bob, I said it was tough growing up and always being the new kid, right? That was one thing. If any of you guys can relate to that, I don't know how many of you guys here are born and raised in Lafayette or Louisiana, but it's tough as a kid being the new kid, you know, all the time and getting used to a new area. Not to mention, I look a little different than most people, right? And I was sharing some of that with Bob. You know, when I moved here in Louisiana, I got all the looks, right? And people asking me questions like, what are you? Where are you from? You speak Spanish? And when I say, no, I don't speak Spanish, they're really confused, right? And they're trying to figure out, and then they ask me, what's your last name? And my last name is Ahia, A-H-I-A, right? And they say, oh, well, what kind of name is that? And I say, it's Hawaiian. They said, I was going to guess that. Right? Of course they would. Or they'll say something like this, and I shared this with Bob too. He thought it was funny, and I would get this a lot. You know, they would say something like, so where are you from? Well, I'm from Hawaii. Oh, wow, I have one of my best friends is Simone. So some people get that, some people don't. It's the equivalent to asking someone, hey, so where are you from? And they say, I'm Japanese. And you say, oh, wow, my best friend is Korean. It's a completely different culture. Right? But I get it, and I was sharing that with Bob. What I found, you know, just through my lifetime, my experience as a child, and then even growing up as an adult and living in a different area, is that although there's a lot of things that separate us, you know, like race and religion and those sort of things, we're all the same, right? Piggyback, I think it was Art that was talking about this. If we just take the time to have a conversation with someone and put all our walls down, you realize you're just talking to another human being, right? We all bleed, we all breathe air the same way. We come from different backgrounds, but I feel like if we take the time to share with each other, that we can help each other grow, right? And that's what I love about the Cajun community, you know? I've been welcome here. I've been the different looking kid in the classroom my entire life, right? I'll share this with you, and I don't want to scare anybody off, right? So growing up growing up in Hawaii as a kid, it's a lot different. Like we were, don't be scared, but we were raised to hate white people. That's right? That's what so my culture, like with growing up, now things have changed obviously a lot since I was a child, but growing up, we were always told that the white man was evil, that what they were telling in the American history books weren't quite what we know as natives, right, on how Hawaii was actually annexed into the United States by gunpoint. Oh. The storybooks tell something else. Yeah. So it is a sensitive topic to our culture, and what's ironic is that my stepfather happens to look like you, a lot of you, most of you here, right? So my mother really stepped out of tradition and took a chance when she decided to marry my stepfather, right? My biological father made a decision not to be a part of our lives, right? Regardless of blood and you know, and that, my stepfather, who if I introduce you to him today, I would say this is my dad, right? He's white, he looks like most of you, And he helped us get through that, right? So just think about that. Like, that's what I was born with. That's what I envisioned, that, you know, the white man was evil. And then my mother brings this guy home and says, hey, we're thinking about getting married and we're gonna move to New Jersey. Right, total culture shock. But it's probably the best thing that has ever happened to me. It really allowed me to knock down walls. And today, it's what we teach our kids, right? My wife and I, so my wife is born and raised in Lafayette, Cajun girl, right? I had a first taste of etouffee, and that was it. I never left Louisiana, and I'm not planning on leaving. We raised all of our kids here. So they're what we call, what did my wife say? Hawaiian or Cajun or something. She made some type of word up to describe all of them. But we teach them that, right? And we believe that it's helped because same thing with my wife, right? She wasn't who I was supposed to marry, and it was the same thing on her side. Right? I shared this, I think I shared this with Bob. So the first family event I ever went to for my wife was a wedding for her aunt and her uncle. And talk about staying out. I told my wife, she remembers this that night. I said, wow, I said, all these cowboys and I'm going to India. That's at this wedding reception, and it was the best time. Today, her aunt is our godmother for all our kids. Love them dearly, right? There were a lot of walls that I had to go through, you know, with some of my wife's family over the years and through time. Like they're part of my family now. You know, I love them, and I think the feeling is mutual. And so, you know, I love the Cajun culture. I love being here. Obviously, I never left, and really feel privileged to have been able to raise my kids and, you know, in a place like this. So, Bob, thank you. I appreciate you having me. I'm sure that was over 30 minutes.
Very bon.
Hello, everybody. I'm not a public speaker. This is the scariest thing I've ever done in my life, I think. But I can't say no to Bob and Dee Dee when they ask me to do something. So, yeah, I've been drinking wine, and the wine has not helped. It has not helped. Okay, so during the pandemic, I became a dad. I'm in my dad era right now. And it wasn't planned, it was an accident. A beautiful accident though. So I have a 2-year-old, he's gonna be 3 this month. And basically, so during the pandemic, I think, I don't know if this happened to any of y'all, but just being shut inside and you know, I was living with my son's mom at the time, and she was pregnant, and you know, we went through that, but we couldn't go anywhere, and it wasn't a good relationship. So that, along with everything going on in the world, people, you know, getting sick and doomsday talk, and even the George Floyd, you know, murder, that affected me greatly. And I think in the pandemic, I just became a cynical person, and I sort of became, I just didn't want anything to do with the world. And then that was like magnified times like 1 billion because I had a son coming into the world. And so the relationship didn't work, the pandemic ended and everything, and the relationship didn't work. And I took that really hard because I didn't grow, my parents divorced when I was 3. And I always told my parents, like, I'm not gonna make the same mistakes that y'all did. Like, I'm gonna make sure that I have a whole family. And I got depressed, you know, I got sad because I realized that wasn't gonna happen for me. And so I was still cloistered, I was still in my home and not really going out. And my son is the opposite of me. He's a social butterfly. If he was like a couple years older, he'd be up like with the mic and, hey everybody, I'm Miles. His name is Miles. He'll be talking. But anytime we go out, we go to a grocery store, he's like, "Hi, I'm Miles," and to anybody we pass, and I'm like, "Dude, I just want to get our like groceries and get out." But anyways, Dee Dee and Bob. Dee Dee in particular was inviting me, come over. Like, I see kind of what you're going through, come over. And I kind of kept putting it off, and, you know, I get in my own head and stuff. And then finally, Miles and I came, and I did not expect to start tearing up. And it was amazing because besides his family, I had never felt comfortable really with him. You know, I was a helicopter dad, like to the extreme, and I still am, and I'm still working on that. But Dee Dee took his hand and was like, "Let's go pick fruit," and they went off together, and they went feed the ducks and see the donkeys, and it was the first time that I sort of let him go, and you know, and it wasn't I mean, they are family, but it wasn't like a family member that had him, and it was my first time doing that, and to kind of summarize that, I mean, they were like, "Come anytime, you know, let's go swimming." And I've been wanting to teach Miles how to swim. Yeah, he fell into a pond and I dove in to get him. And after that, I was like, "Okay, you need to learn how to swim." That's a different story. But anyways, we came over and we swam. And for a large part of the time, like, he was scared to kind of swim. He had his floaties. He was scared though with me, I think because I'm his comfort blanket. But Bob got in there and started teaching him how to swim, and he's getting it now. He's not afraid of the water. But Bob had got on the four-wheeler, and he was going, you know, to the neighbors, and Miles wanted to go with him. And Miles hopped on with him, and they left. And at first I was like, okay, you know, and I was sitting there talking with Dee Dee and Emma. And then I never told them this, but like panic kind of started to set in, and I was like, "Wait, is he gonna be okay?" And I was like, "Wait, he's gonna be fine. It's all right. Just relax. It's okay." And they came back, and he was fine. And as we were leaving, we were in my car, and we were leaving, and I saw Bob right here as we were about to turn out, and he told me, "Thank you for trusting us with your boy like that." Like, he noticed. I guess he noticed. But that meant a lot to me, and that's kind of everything, the Vay-Yay, everything. That, for me, it's about fearless parenting. It's about I don't want Miles to suffer because of my paranoia, you know? I want him because he loves life. I mean, he loves the world, he loves people. And I don't want to keep that away from him. I want him to participate in that and grow up with that and grow up with this to where this is normal for him. And he knows that, he knows community. I want him to know community, and I feel like Bob said that's been lacking a lot in our society lately, and I'm just thankful for them for bringing that back, and I'll be their biggest supporter. I'll be here all the time, and next time Miles will be here too. So thank y'all.
All right. Ready for some jokes? Yeah, it is. I'm now starting to feel the nervousness, but it's okay. Hey everyone, my name is Oscar Castillo. I come from a small town in Mexico. I currently live in Austin, Texas. I live with Taylor, if you know him. I work as a biomedical equipment specialist for the Army, where I'm a sergeant. No. Thank you. But wait, there's more. Well, first I would like to start off this with a quote from one of my favorite singers ever. Her name is Beyonce. Okay, so it goes like this. All the single ladies, I'm kidding. No, why am I trying to be funny right now? It goes, To live in a world without reflection for so long might make you wonder if you even truly exist. It's very deep. Why am I bringing this up? Well, as some of you may or may not know, I just started I said I was not gonna look at Miss Didi, but now I'm about to cry. I just started my very own science fiction novel lately, the last couple of weeks. It's huge. I feel very proud of my characters. It's about everything related to my hometown back in Mexico. Everything related to like magic and all the tribes and all the mystic and just how magic my country is something that you don't normally see on the TV screens. And I'm very proud of my characters, and they're very diverse, they're very funny. Well, I'm also the one who wrote it, so I hope they are. And I love them. But to be honest, 10 years ago, because I've been working on this story for like a decade almost, more than a decade. 10 years ago when I first started writing these characters, they were nothing close to that. They were not diverse. They were not these deep people from a mystic village. They were all white. They were mostly men, straight men, with tiny noses, perfect faces, perfect body, curly hair and blue eyes. They kind of look like Taylor. And they were people from my country, from my village. I'm not saying that there's no white people in Mexico. There is a ton of them. But I was shocked, like how much media I was consuming my whole childhood, that my very own characters, they were nothing like me. The very people that I created, like I literally created with my own hands, they did not represent myself. Like I did not see myself in my characters. So I had to go back to the drawing board, start all over again, because in my own story, I did not exist, and that is wild. So it did take a long time. Like I said, it's been 10 years since I've been working on this. And now I'm back in this point where, okay, I'm proud, they're so diverse, it's so multicultural, it's perfect. And well, I did that by just doing research, just hopping online and seeing like how can I best represent the cultures and all the tribes in Mexico, because there's not really just Aztecs and Mayans, there's a ton of different tribes and different locations that we don't really get to see outside of Mexico, so that's something that I really put a lot of effort in. And for what I realized is most of the knowledge that I got and most of the resources came to me indirectly. It wasn't me looking for them, it was me just hanging out with people, being open, going to events like these ones, where you just see like so people from different cultures, diversity everywhere. And that's how you realize that you don't need anything other than just to be yourself, to be the protagonist of your own story. And that's how it happened. I'm very happy to be with you all at this Vay-Yay. It looks like, if I would say, so I'm a writer, or I try to be a writer, and I'm always trying to look for the perfect ending, and this kind of looks like it. Like this picture right now, we don't really know what's going to happen in the future, but this is happening right now, for me, this is a perfect ending, and I feel like we have to see it that way. So I'm definitely mirroring this in my sequel, because I'm writing more books after this one. And yeah, I'm very excited. I just first started posting the first 3 episodes. So I have a novel, but I'm doing it as a webcomic now, because that's my resource that I have most available to me. I'm posting the webcomics every week. And I have huge plans for my story. It's gonna be a novel, it's gonna be a book, who knows. But I'm not gonna stop. It's gonna be maybe another 10-year, 20-year long journey. But I won't stop. I'll keep sharing my story until it reaches a little kid back in Mexico, in my little hometown. And they're just aware that we are here and we exist. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'd seen his picture on Facebook, but first he comes through. Which microphone? This one? Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joe Diaz. I am a first-generation American from El Paso, Texas. My parents immigrated to this country from Mexico. Every culture, of course, has its typical beliefs, norms, and values. Still, these cultures are always subject to change. In fact, they cannot avoid change. Some cultures are transformed when conquered by a foreign power. Others change through interaction with neighboring cultures. And other cultures simply transition by moving to another country. Reflecting on the diversity of cultures, I found 5 significant differences: language, food, dress, music, and tradition. But these differences have been greatly diminished by globalization. The truth is that we have infinitely more in common than our cultures suggest. Thank you. The idea that we are somehow different is false. The reality is that we are all the same. In fact, we are made from matter that has been cycled through the multi-million degree heat of innumerable giant stars. We are composed of particles that once were scattered across thousands of light years of interstellar space. Particles that were blasted out of exploding suns and that for eons drifted through the cold, star-lit vacuum of our galaxy. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the children of the universe. Bob, thank you so much. Thank you for bringing us together to celebrate our humanity. May the richness, beauty, and harmony of this event inspire us to see all that we see from a more brilliant and wondrous perception. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's give it up to all those speakers. Now, wasn't that phenomenal? Hilarious. Y'all got Calvin here cracks me up. Hey, so Joe went a little deep right there talking about the universe. I was listening to Neil deGrasse. I don't know if anybody follows him. So Neil's explaining the universe, and he's saying the sun, like when we talk about our universe, everybody kind of pictures the sun sitting there spinning and all this going on. He's like, no, the sun is going 362,000 miles an hour. And this earth, this ball of clay, is just keeping up with it and spinning. And the sun is one of 1 trillion stars. That's what me and Joe was talking about. And I'm thinking, man, what the hell are we mad at each other for? We're riding around on this dirt ball. It seems like everything's kind of trivial when you think of it that way. But I'll end with this and we'll get Daisha and them up here. So when I was digging this patch of woods out, back there is a chicken tree. Raise your hand if you know what a chicken tree is. What's the real name of a chicken tree, Charles? John of all trees. Damn, man, you can do more than play music. Thank you. And so I grew up a farmer's son, and everybody had this big thing against chicken trees. Damn chicken tree growing everywhere. Damn chicken tree. And I'm like, why is everybody against a chicken tree? And we had a chicken tree, my sister's on here, but right there where the school bus stop was in front of our house, and it was there forever. And I asked my dad, Dad, why do we hate chicken trees? I hated a chicken tree because he taught me to hate a chicken tree. Damn chicken tree. Same way with a mimosa tree, you know? And he says, well, it's not a hardwood tree. Oak, that's a tree. You know, that's a stately tree. Not a chicken tree, it's not even a hardwood. I'm like, okay. And it grows everywhere. All right. But if you ever seen a chicken tree go through all the seasons, it gives you all the beauty and the glory, and it gives you the best show in town, way better than the oak trees. So that tree, when I go home, my dad has huge, beautiful 300-year-old oak trees. I always look for that chicken tree. So don't hate chicken trees. There's a little message there amongst that, and mimosa trees. So you'll notice out here I got my mimosa trees flagged, and we protecting their chicken tree. So we all live together. We all have a place. Let's do that. All right, Daisha, y'all ready to get it on? Brian and Daisha, y'all give them a round of applause. Thank y'all for coming out. While they setting up, the best way to understand how this works is try to get on our website, okay, cafedetentela.com. Become a member. Put your face on there. That's important. So when we have events, the hosts that are putting the event on, what we're trying to do during the event is really bring in a whole different mix of culture during these events. And again, the Vay-Yay is we're going to bring these speakers in from all over and just get some really cool audiences and really cool speakers. And we're going to Vay-Yay, y'all. Thank y'all. Enjoy the evening. We got some more food and drink. Y'all enjoy the beautiful evening. All right, Brian Norris.